Friday night, we were the worst offensive team you've ever seen. Last night, we were the second best offensive output of any team in any game all year. Man, this year's going to be fun, but our heads might explode.
You are Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
How are you? I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked On Jazz. It's your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Super cool. I feel like I kind of want to share with you guys a note. I'll share it with you. Yeah, I am going to share it. I'm going to share it now. We're going to do it in a second. Anyway, thank you to all the everydayers out there. We are free and available on every podcast network as well as on YouTube. And thank you for tuning in each and every day. You are what makes this amazing. Today's show is brought to you in part by FanDuel. New customers bet $5. If your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Okay, I kind of share with you little Locked On stuff all the time. So I want to share if I can. Do you mind? So we have hit this incredible threshold in October. And I wrote a thing to our staff. And I just wanted to share this with you guys because you guys actually built Locked On. For those of you who have been with us since it all started and we're the first and you built Locked On. So I always share this with you. So I did some work and super proud of this. So in 2017, at the end of 2017, second year of Locked On, or first year of Locked On, we had like 65 shows. 28 of those 65 hosts are still with us. 33 of our hosts have been with us since 2017. 47 have been with us since 2018. 86 have been with us since 2019. 92 of our current hosts were with us before the pandemic. And over 100 of our hosts and staff have been with us now for over 5 years. It's crazy. So thank you. You guys have been my sounding board, place I've tried things, done everything, and now we're the #1 sports podcast network. You're amazing. All right, today's show. Wednesday, we're going to try this. This is going to be a little new feature. This also assumes that the old guy here can figure out how to get the sound to work so you actually hear it, which I'm never always that good at. I'm going to try. I think I have it, so it'll work. Will talk about his assessment of the first 10 games, and he had a really interesting point on young players learning how to play NBA, which I thought was interesting. So we'll have that for you. We're going to talk about pace of play. The Jazz have picked up their pace of play. I don't know what I really think of this. I'm a little still old schooly Jerry Sloan, bring the ball up, set your offense and run your play, which frankly doesn't actually, because you got to freelance at some point. So I'm a little mixed on what I think of this. This actually might be an area where I think analytics has gotten into everyone's head and has gone nuts. But we'll talk about it. But the Jazz have definitely made an effort to increase pace of play and have done so. So that's what's important. That's why this whole year is going to be so fun and continues to be so fun. And that is that we're just watching kind of guys grow and develop. And we're going to watch literally Friday. It was awful, right? Like we lost by 50. We got smoked. And then we watched last night where we were up 20, and frankly, the game was kind of dreadfully boring for the second half of the game because Indiana was feckless and we were rolling, and we put up an 148 offensive rating last night. We're going to bend with the opponents, and it's, we're playing an Indiana team that's shorthanded and doesn't have a lot of juice and is on the road. It is 1-9 and doesn't believe in themselves. And if we play the way we're supposed to, our guys gain a lot of confidence and they feel good about themselves. And guys had wonderful games last night. Namely, Ace Bailey. He flashed every piece of everything you wanted to see last night. He had 17 points in the first half. He had a career high 20. He was the best player on the floor for multiple minutes. His drive right pull-up jumper in the corner is a wow shot. His rise and fire 3 in transition, the fact he hit his threes last night opens up the world to him and how smooth and easy it all looks. The kid is just so gifted. Long way to go. but so gifted. The fact that we have had a effective field goal percentage under 44 which is awful. League average is like 52.7, and we were shooting below 44% on effective field goal percentage for most of the road trip. For 5, I think, of the last 6 games, we bust out with a 66% effective field goal percentage. That we hit 13 of 29 threes above the break last night. It's just going to be this kind of roller coaster. We're just not good enough to dictate every game, but then when we put it together like last night, we're also have just a lot of skills. Pretty great. Isaiah Collier is having an impact since he's returned, and it is neat to see. And a fun post-game interview with him the other night, last night, that, I think all of these guys, Keontae, Isaiah, Kyle, Bryce, Elijah Harkless, are brimming with confidence. Cody Williams, actually, too. Taylor probably fits in this, too. Taylor's a little different. They're brimming with confidence because of the fact they worked so hard this offseason, and they did it collectively and together. And if we're probably totally honest, they've been committed to the sport, but they've probably never had to work that hard. They've worked on their skills. They've played the game. They've worked with their coaches. They've done their stuff. This was different. This was like physical, hard training work put on by the strength and conditioning staff, and they committed to it. And if you talking to Isaiah after the game, it was really clear that he's like, I worked my ass off in the offseason and and I'm ready to go. And it's going to, and there's a belief that it's going to pay dividends. 11 assists last night in 27 minutes, 14 points for Isaiah, 6 rebounds. He has hit a few of his threes so far. Let's hope it lasts. He's really it's nice to see. He's really, he's added a element to our team. Walt's minutes are going to drop a little bit because of this, but he's going to learn from it. And I think Walt's going to be okay. But the contrast between the time and tempo we get into stuff if Isaiah's on the floor compared to Walt is pretty dramatic. One of them plays at a breakneck pace, and the other is trying to figure out how this all works and is probably fiddled around with point guard and non-point guard at Iona and Florida. I love what I'm seeing out of Kyle Filipowski the last 2 games. 16.7 rebounds, 3 assists, but a fight. And I'm loving what I'm seeing out of Bryce Sensabaugh. Another 16.9. Everyone, we had 8 guys in double figures last night. All right, let's talk about Ace, because that's what you want to talk about. It's just all, we're going to keep saying this over and over and over again. It's all there. All the skills are there. All the criticisms, all the critiques are not. He has not been a ball hog. He has not taken outrageously bad shots. There was a play last night that actually I meant to mention in postcast, and actually Will did mention last night, which was, to me, okay, the drive right, step back, right side 3 is like you're Tracy McGrady. That's a Hall of Fame play. That is a play that guys, the great offensive players in the league make. The Kevin Durant, the Anthony Edwards, the Tracy McGrady's yeah, it's there. It's freaking there. We'll see. Long way to go. There have been guys with it that don't make it. But the other play is the Jazz ran. I think it was Lowry hits Ace on a wrap around the outside of the key going from the left to the right. And then Lowry runs off Nurkic on a flare going right to left. So going the other way. And Ace reads the defense perfectly and flips it over the top unselfishly to Lowry for a wide open 3. That's the most important play of the night. Because that's the play where when Ace tips in the ball at the end of the half for the buzzer beater, Lowry's going over to give him a high five in the chest because he's still making plays like that. When Lowry flares open on that 3 and Ace Bailey rises for the jump shot instead, it's a problem. And that's where the rookie suddenly doesn't get stuff, and the locker room's not as pleased, and they're not quite as excited about it, and all of that. Donovan did a nice job of kind of having that humility his rookie year. Ace's is just an authentic sweetness. And I don't mean this negatively, a simpleness to this all. He's just not like, he's just happy. He got to start. He checked the box. He was super excited in that post-game press conference. There's a genuine eagerness and energy to him and authenticness to him that's endearing. There's a long way to go with this kid, longer than any of us realize. Like, the skills are all there, but there's just so much going on in this 19-year-old who, the way our society works, I'm just going to phrase it this way, has been bubble wrapped. And he's not bubble wrapped anymore. And we're going to try to keep some bubble wrap around him to make sure that he stays okay. But at some point, the bubble wrap starts to come off. And how he deals with that is going to be the issue. And it probably will have nothing to do with basketball. He's 19. Let it, like, think about Keontae, 19 to 21. It's awesome. If I was Keontae's mom, I'd be so proud of him. Key went 3 of 12 last night, but he had 7 assists. He didn't hijack the game to get his shots. I kind of actually liked Keontae's night last night too. Everyone played great. That was super fun. This whole thing's going to be super fun because if you can keep context to what you're watching, I thought it was super fun to watch Kyle Filipowski get isolated by Anthony Edwards. There cannot be a worse feeling in the world than Anthony Edwards calling you out the first second you check into the game, isolating at the top of the key, pulling a 3 on your head, and then the next time you step up further and he dunks on your ass. Like, there can't be anything worse. And you got to fight through it and work through it. Pretty awesome to watch. So this is great. And last night they needed it, but that was fun. And there's a lot to it. All right, pace of play is a big discussion. I'm going to dig into some numbers with you. I don't know what I truly think of this, if I'm being honest. I think it might be analytical mumbo jumbo garbage, and I don't say that very often. Wednesday edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you by Intercap Lending, and that is Steve Carter. And when I say Steve Carter's name, I smile. Why? Because Intercap has been with us for over 7 years, which is pretty amazing. And then even more, Steve Carter has served Locked On listeners for 7 years, and the reviews just come back every single time the same way about just how great Steve is. And it is just fires me up. Recent reviews that have come in. Tim Gannon. Steve had an amazing loan officer to work with. I couldn't recommend him enough. Between his friendly personality, his vast knowledge, he made the entire process go smoothly and seamlessly. He stayed on top of every aspect of the process, was always available, able to answer any and all questions, and absolutely work with him in future loans. And Jenny said, as a real estate agent, I know the great value of a lender. Steve is one of the best. He's responsive, knowledgeable, positive, and hardworking. I love clients feel safe with him knowing they can ask him any question, even multiple times. That's how I feel too, Jenny. And right now, Intercap Lending rates are slowly coming down. If you have great news for anyone sitting on a high 6 or 7, Steve can quickly get you refinanced. Also, construction loan going on right now, 2-time close construction loans, collateral toward your down payment that allows you to defer interest payments during the build. So Steve has all loans offered, licensed in multiple states. So even if you're outside of Utah, you can still reach out to him. Email me at dlock09@gmail.com. That's dlock09@gmail.com. And let me give you the Intercap Lending VIP experience through Locked On. Email me at dlock09@gmail.com. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back. There's no better place to get into the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything. Who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks, what you might see, same game parlays. Keep it exciting and keep it going with FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers bet $5 and they win $300 in bonus bets. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up to play your first game with FanDuel, the official sportsbook betting partner of the NBA. I was looking to see if I could find, I don't think I can, NBA awards, finals odds. I was trying to see if I could find rookie of the year. I mean, he's had 2 good games. Like, let's just start going nuts. I do not. Future awards. Awards. Rookie of the year, Ace Bailey is currently 6th at plus 7,500. Cooper Flag is minus 125. VJ Edgecombe is plus 230. Con Knipples plus 480. Con Knipples playing pretty well. Go check it out at FanDuel. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day, and thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network. All right, let's play a pace of play discussion. Okay, there's some geeky numbers here, but I'll try to make sense out of it. By the way, I'm never going to stop with the geeky numbers, but I will always take your insight on how we can best do it. I saw last night I was wearing this hoodie and I had some comments on it. It's the City Edition hoodie that came out yesterday, and I grabbed one because I thought it was really cool. So that's the answer. So yes, it's available at the team store. It's relatively reasonably priced. Yeah, it's kind of great. I've already spilled on it. It's great. All right, there's two numbers that are dictating how people determine pace now. They are action across half court or time across half court and time to your first action. So the average time across half court in the NBA is 4.2 seconds, which is interesting. One thing I didn't look up is how this has evolved over time. I think it's speeding up greatly. Let me see if I can actually find this. I can really quickly. So I just had it really quickly and then I made a mistake. So no, I can do it really quickly. So how has this evolved? I can look up through 2013-14 and see how it's evolved. But it's 4.2 seconds is the average time across half court, is the median time. It's the average time across half court is 4.48, right? In this 25-26 season is 4.4. Okay. By the way, interestingly enough, in the last 13 seasons, it's the third slowest in the NBA. I think this is because people are picking up in the backcourt. Time to the first action is the average time to the first action in the NBA is 6.3. The median team is 6. And this is actually the fourth slowest in the last 13 years. So the feeling that this is actually getting faster is actually not true, which is exactly the opposite of what I thought. So that is fascinating because all anyone's talking about in this league is playing faster, playing faster, playing faster. And what the data says is we're playing about a second slower into the first action than we did 10 years ago, which I would have never expected. So call me stunned right there. Thank you for making me look that up. All right. The average team across half court is 4.2. The average team, the median team in average time in the first half court is 6 seconds. Okay, so let's just go with those two numbers. Let me start with across half court. The fastest is Portland, 3.4. It's because I think they get backcourt steals. Indiana's at 3.6. The slowest is Denver at 4.8. So there's like a second difference here. The difference between the third team and the 30th team is 1 second. Does this really matter? I'm not sure. Utah is 24th in getting across half court. I mean, I just don't know that this matters. Like, if you get to it, like, I can look up how many possessions we have in the final 4 seconds of a shot clock. Like, where is this showing up that it matters? Playing with force, coming at you, coming with zest, coming across half court with power, doing everything, getting in your stuff, running your actions. I'm all into that. I'm not sure I think this matters. Time to first action. The average was 6 seconds. The first, Indiana's the fastest at 5.1. And Houston's the slowest at 6.7. Houston's way better than Indiana offensively. Like, does this matter? So 1 to 30 is about a second and a half into the first action. That gets to be a decent amount. 4 to 30 is 1 second again. 4th to 30th is 1 second. At Utah, we're 6.3. We're 26 in the league to our first action. A little bit of this, Will believes that after a miss, we want to run, and after a make, we want to run a set. I think that's the right way to do it. I think it precludes you from running. I think if you're going to try to be a fast action running team, you have to do it every single play of every single game all night long. I don't know if I think that's actually smart. I just think that's how you have to do it. From talking to coaches, one of the most interesting conversations I ever had was Mike D'Antoni. And he said to me, like, yeah, if they think, they can't run. If you're thinking, you can't run. And so if you have to think, wait, am I running or am I doing this? Like, I think And I saw this with Quinn Snyder, and I've seen this with Will Hardy, that I just think that these teams that run a lot of sets and structure and do things in space correctly and do the things you got to do to win can't run as much. I think that's fine. That's not a criticism. I think that's fine. I think there's an obsession with this that I'm not sure is accurate. Okay, with that said, Will really felt though they had bogged down and were not getting to first action fast enough and were really slow and somewhat lethargic getting into stuff. And 6 games into the season, after the Charlotte game, there's been a massive emphasis on changing this. And I've seen it in shoot around. It's pretty interesting to watch, and it's happening. And that's pretty cool. This goes to my whole this is going to be fun thing. Across half court, in the first 6 games, we were 4.6 seconds. In the last 5 games, we've been 4.18 seconds. So we've cut a half second off of the time in which we're getting off across half court. That's massive when you consider that the difference between 3 and 30 is 1 second. Right? Follow me? Again, I don't think this is like the holy grail to success. But what I do think I'm seeing is, okay, here's a head coach that said, I want to address this, and our team is going to address this, and they're executing it, which I think is pretty kind of awesome. So that would be the first thing I would say there is that. And then time into the first action, Isaiah Collier's 3 games return obviously helped this, is in the first 6 games, in our first 6 games, we were at 6.4 in almost in every game. Remember, Houston's the slowest at 6.7, and we were 6.4 or more in every game. Our average was 6.55 in the first 6 games. Since then, Detroit, we were over 6.4 because they were in our ass the entire game. So you couldn't get into stuff. They were pressuring the whole game. They're so physical. But in every other game, we've been at 6.2, 5.9, 5.5, or right under 6.4 last night. Interesting, last night was slow, which I actually like. Indiana's playing breakneck, slow it down to make sure you're running it correctly, and their defense isn't very good, so let's get through it. So we went from 6.55 the last 5 games. We're at 6.1. Again, almost a half second. And remember, 4th to 30th isn't there. So what's my point here? This is where when I do a bunch of numbers, I try to give you a point and a solid takeaway. The takeaway here is everyone in the league is talking about pace and action, cross time across half court, and time to first action. It's the big numbers. The difference between good and fast and is I'm not sure there's a correlation between that and good offense. Houston's got the best offense in the league, and they're the slowest. Denver's got the best offense in the league. They're the slowest. I'm not sure there's a correlation. It's just a style of play. But the difference between the 3rd team and the 30th and the 4th team and 30th is 1 second. In the midst of that, the Jazz have made an effort to play faster and have cut a half second off both their time across half court and their time into the first action in the last 5 games, which to me is just a sign of executing what you're trying to put in. Pretty interesting. Will Wednesday is next. His thoughts and summary on the first 10 games, as well as an interesting comment about young players learning the NBA. Today's show is brought to you by Built. Nobody likes paying rent, but if you must, you might as well get something for it. That's where Built comes in. Built is changing the game by turning your rent payments into real rewards you can actually use. When you pay rent through Built, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed toward hundreds of hotels and airlines in future rent payments, your next Lyft ride, and more. Built isn't just about rent. It's about rewarding you around the entire neighborhood. Built lets rent finally work for you. Turn your rent into rewards. Start earning points around your neighborhood by going to joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. That's joinbuilt, joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. Make sure you use this link so they know we sent you. That's joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. Grab food at your local restaurant, head to the gym, earn rewards at joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. It's time for you to learn how to say yes to saying no. That's right. From Mint Mobile. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. I said yes to making the switch. Get the premium wireless for just $15 a month. Mint makes it simple. All plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text, delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring up your own phone. You can even bring your own phone and keep your same number in contracts. So get the same quality service you had before at a fraction of the price. The setup is easy. Are you ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. That's mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. Upfront payment of $45, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customers offer for first 3 months only. Speed may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. All right, this is a test of the old guy here. I'm really, how did I get old? Sucks. We had a fascinating debate the other day amongst my friends, and it was, so the debate was, if you could freeze your body at one point, age, so never aged anymore, what would it be? And if you could freeze your mind, at what point, what would it be? Pretty interesting debate. I don't know on the mind if I would freeze it yet. I'm so much smarter and better at so many things now than I used to be. But I do wonder, I don't want to start it too late. All right, let's hope this works. I think I've hit all the settings that I'm supposed to be, that are supposed to work here. And the audio should come in. And this is Will Hardy assessing the first 10 games of the season.
More good basketball than bad basketball. I think the tough stretches have been loud. I think defensively, I think we're 12th in the NBA protecting the rim. We're getting hurt from three.
I'm nervous that is not coming in. I kind of can feel that that's not coming in because I just looked at a setting. Let me see what I can do here very quickly on the fly to see if I can make that come in. But I don't think that was coming in. We'll see if I can do something quickly to get that to come in. It did not look like there was enough volume, and it's coming through a speaker here where it's supposed to be coming through a different speaker. So we'll see whether that's true. I'm going to try it one other way. You're going to have to tell me if I'm right or wrong. All right, let's see if this works. Thanks for working with me, everybody. I appreciate you. Let's see if this works. My friend Derek is listening right now and laughing at me profusely. All right, let's see if this works. And he starts at the 20-second mark.
More good basketball than bad basketball. I think the tough stretches have been loud. I think defensively, I think we're 12th in the NBA protecting the rim. We're getting hurt from three right now a little bit, and scrambling and contesting threes is always something that any coach is begging their team to do a better job of. But the thing that's probably hurting us the most is the free throw line. Fouling a little bit too much last game. We saw it in the third quarter. It's not just shooting fouls. When you get in the bonus for long stretches in the NBA, it's hard. And then offensively, I really do feel like our team is playing pretty well. We are just shooting really poorly. And I've tried to make that distinction with the team. When we watch film, you see shots that are developed. And, take last game, for example, like if you look at the first 5 threes of the game that were taken, they were C and Lowry, and all 5 were open, and none of them went in. And so, you have this feeling of like, man, we're not playing well, and that's not the case. We're playing fine, we're just not shooting the ball well. And everybody, a lot of people will say this is a make-miss league, but I think more than that, the makes and the misses sometimes can impact your mindset. And, for the most part, I think with our group, we have a lot of young players playing in the rotation. We have 2 centers who are new to our program. I've liked the connectivity of the group. I really have. I think that the shooting will get better. I think we are a better shooting team than we have shown. But overall, I really like the competitiveness of the team. There have been some tough stretches, but I'm overall pleased with the first 10 games.
So that was Will Hardy about the first 10 games. I think you were able to hear that. The other one he shared, which was just kind of he just threw it in the end of an answer here about young players learning how to play in the NBA. And I think the line here is going to be, he talks about if you can't beat someone individually, you have to learn how to play 2- and 3-man games, which they've probably never had to do. I thought it was really interesting.
Young players need help always kind of understanding how to create an advantage. If you can't just beat your guy one-on-one, we have to now work in groups of 2 and groups of 3 to create an advantage. And so that's what we're always pushing. My favorite part from a ball movement standpoint, though, was probably the pace we played with in different moments in the first half. When our defense did a good job, we were able to get out and run, throw the ball ahead, throw the ball across the court. And, back to the question about, like, what did I take from the Pacers? Like, they're one of the best teams in the NBA throwing the ball ahead, whether that's straight up the sideline or across the court. It really helps generate some great pace.
And that's really goes back to our pace conversation we were having earlier. So I thought it was a good place to wrap on this. Hopefully you heard that. Hopefully that kind of worked. I had to jerry-rig it a little bit. That's Will Wednesday. I thought that's interesting to think about players having to play with 2- and 3-man advantages. And I also thought just his assessment of where they are after 10 games. I couldn't agree more. The connectivity and the competitiveness of this group is what is making the season fun. It is Locked on Jazz. Tomorrow we'll discuss whether or not Andy Larson fuming the flames of, oh, dear God, we're going to lose our pick, and the fact that I watched a Locked on NBA mock draft that had the Oklahoma City Thunder with our pick the other day by no ceilings panicked me. Should we be panicked on that? We'll touch on it tomorrow on Locked on Jazz. In the meantime, we now send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA channel, Locked on NBA, also on YouTube. Also check out Locked on NBA game night after every game, every night, Locked on NBA.